what's upsetting is that people who are in these big financial institutions, whose lives are on Wall Street, they look at the market and they say, oh, the market's returned to profitability. They look at their salaries and bonuses and their balance sheets and they say, oh, we're doing better. But you know this, and I know this, that all over this state, people are still in the depth of one of the worst recessions we've had in our country's history. And this story of the steel mill in Hennepin that closed, where the foreign owner decided, I'm going to move this overseas, and worse than that, I'm going to leave the rolls here, but I'm going to refuse to let this steel mill get back online because I'm not going to sell. I'm just outraged about that, absolutely outraged. And here's a company, and here's a foreign owner who had extensive tax credits in order to move their headquarters to a nice building in the city of Chicago, enjoying those tax credits. And you can look, money is fungible. You can look at tax credits coming into the company. You can look at salaries paid to executives, and it's going right from taxpayers right into the executive salaries. And yet when they just decide unilaterally, hey, we think we're going to close this plant and move it somewhere else and refuse to sell, I am outraged by it. And I think we all should be outraged. And our governments at all levels, including the federal government, have a role to play in not only making sure that that does not happen in the future, but that we are doing everything possible to get that plant back online again. We talk about bringing good jobs to communities like this. Well, it doesn't occur very often that we've got a building with equipment in it that if someone just bought it and flipped a switch, we could be productive and get jobs back online again. And I am very supportive of aggressive efforts to make sure we change the current situation, which is that one private individual living somewhere outside of this country is blocking the effort to get this plant online. It's an outrage. And let me just say one last thing in closing on this issue that goes beyond the issue of this particular steel mill. We need to be more aggressive about keeping jobs here at home and not moving them overseas. We need to be enforcing these trade policies and trade agreements more. We have let it, under the Bush administration, become too much of a one-way street, and they've been taking advantage of that. And we need to make sure we protect our jobs at home. Do you know that there is a loophole, there is a tax credit that's made available to companies when they decide to move overseas? They get their moving expenses as a tax credit for moving jobs overseas, moving their business overseas. That's a loophole and a tax credit that needs to be ended immediately.